friends, it's Andre here again. It's Thursday, and that means that this is yet another live stream. And today we're gonna talk about Gatsby. Now, do you know the song that's in the intro to this stream? Now, it really gets into your head. I've been singing it and whistling it for the past few days, so I hope it gets stuck into your head too. So it's not just me here. The other song that I can't get out of my head is the Rebecca. What's her name? Rebecca. I don't know her last name, but Ryan always plays it on one of his streams, the Developers Garage streams. It's about Friday, you know. So that's yet another song that always gets into my head, and I cannot, for anything, I can't get it out of my head. But good thing it's Thursday. It's tomorrow's Friday. Today is actually Thanksgiving, so I think that a lot of people are already on their vacation and happy to spend their time with their families. If you are spending time with your family, then that's nice. Nice of you. If you have had enough of your family because of all the COVID situation, and you have to be stuck with everyone from spring till pretty much now, then just close your door and watch the stream. You can send me a message if you're here. Let me know where you're coming from. And you can look at some new stuff in Gatsby. So is that good enough program for Thanksgiving? I would say so. Last time we were looking at .NET and static. Now I've stumbled upon a few issues there, and I asked one of my colleagues to help me with resolving that issue. So next week we're gonna come back to that. But this week I decided to go back to Gatsby. One reason and one reason only. Because we finally have the file-based routing on Gatsby. This is awesome. This is something that was one of the differentiators between Gatsby and Next, and one of the reasons why I prefer Next as the default static site generator. But right now, Gatsby added this. It's out of beta, so that means we can use it for production sites. One of the production sites is Kentico Advantage, as you see in the background here. So I wondered, I've never seen the feature in beta even. So I was waiting for it to go live and to be out of beta. And now what I want to do is I want to adjust this site, and I want to change it so that it uses the file-based routings. Now you see here in source that my templates are page, phase. This is not a new site, right? We've been looking at Kentico Advantage site for quite a few streams in the past, so nothing really new here. And I don't expect it will give me any kind of feature improvements. I just want to see how hard it is to switch from the template and everything being generated in Gatsby Node to the file-based routings. So here you see we're creating some redirects, but here I think we're creating pages. Yeah, here it is. So see, here we're creating phases, and here we're creating pages. Yeah, pages. So just two templates, two sets of data, but I've seen Gatsby pages or Gatsby sites that used to call the create pages, oh, this one, create page, quite a few times, and it was a nightmare to find the page. So the difference between this and file-based routings is that here with Gatsby, you had to create a GraphQL query like this one, where you take all the content items that are represented as pages, right? You take all those, and then based on what kind of data you have, you then iterate over the data set and call create page for every content item that should create a page, which is quite simple and works very well actually for this site, because there are two cases. Yeah, there is only a phase case and a page case, so no other content items are used to generate pages. But in more complex sites, you might have tens or hundreds of cases like this. So file-based routings work in a different way. You usually add them as pages, and the name of the page actually corresponds to how the page should behave, yeah, on which URLs it should be rendered on. Now you see here we're not even using JSX, so we're not using TypeScript here. This is simple. I hope I'm using the right project here, guys. Let me see. Last change was 1st of October. I'm just gonna quickly check the GitHub repository. I think it's under Kentico Advantage, yeah. So let's check if I'm using the right repository here. We're looking for source branch. And let's see, the latest, 2 years ago. Oh, here's a pull request. This is my pull request here. But that's, okay, opened by me on October 27th. So we're probably looking at this repository. Yeah, I think this works. So let's see. I'm just gonna quickly check source tree if I'm really using the right folder here. But I think so. Yeah, let me not this. Oh, I have so many sites here. Let's add yet another one. So just gonna add it here. So I never close these, so that's what makes it so hard to navigate. So I think this is here. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is correct. The last change, 27th of October. Yeah, that's me. Bumps content source, yeah. Or is it? But I think so, yeah. This was the last commit. And if you look here, yeah, this is the last commit. So last month that actually corresponds to what I have there. All right, so we're in the right repository. Now what I wanna do is let's check first Gatsby. Yeah, Gatsby file routing, file system route API. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah. Perfect. So let's see. Let me just quickly switch a few things around here. Perfect. So what I'm looking for is how can I start using this? So use the file system route API when you want to programmatically create pages from your GraphQL data. That's exactly what I'm doing. To create individual blog post pages for your blog. With this API, you can control the file path and query data by adding some extra notation to the names of your files without touching or creating Gatsby Node.js whatsoever. That's exactly what I'm trying to achieve because, you know, as I said, adding stuff to Gatsby Node.js is a bit overwhelming at times. Yeah, and if you want to find a page that is rendered like this, it's a total nightmare because when you look at, okay, let's go back here. When you look at this, here you only specify path, right? There is no like structure of paths. So if there is a page like /something else, I have exactly zero idea which of these create page calls is causing the problem or generating the page that is causing the problem. Yeah. So very hard to navigate. So this is exactly what we are looking for, like to not use Gatsby Node.js whatsoever. This page documents the API and conventions for using the file system as the primary way of creating pages. You should be able to accomplish most common tasks with this file-based API. If you want more control over the page creation, you should use Create Pages API. I don't need more control. I know that Gatsby really tries to give you, full control of everything. I don't need that. I just want to create a bunch of pages. So we should be fine with the file system route API. So these APIs enable you to programmatically create pages from Gatsby's GraphQL data layer and to create client-only routes. Perfect. So let's take a look. So imagine a Gatsby project that sources a product.yaml, markdown. Now that's not what I need. Okay, maybe we can, I think that this just describes what the file-based routing is. So I think we can switch further away. There we go. All right. So using dot, you signify. that you want to access a field on a node of type. Okay. Okay, let's take a look at this. So there are some general syntax requirements when using collection routes. File names must start and end with curly braces. Types can be both lowercase and uppercase. The initial type name must be followed by a period. Okay. In addition to files, you can also name folders with this syntax. This allows you to create nested routes. Perfect. So first of all, what I want to do, let's check this. First of all, I want to check the phases, right? And that might be a bit of a problem here, actually, because the pages and phases use the same syntax here. You see? So the phases are just slash gathering, then slash gathering, slash gathering functional requirements. So these are only using slugs. So we might, the best thing what we could do is just create here a page for project phases. That's actually the index page, right? And then under project phases, we would do the phases. So gathering and so on. Right now, there is a lot of logic here. So if you look at phase, you see this logic, you see phase indexes and so on. This is all based, and there is another logic here. Oh no, this is something else. But all this is related to how we actually compute these breadcrumbs and everything. So we did this because there was no other way how to do these things. Now I would just go with slash phase slash gathering. That would be much easier. But we actually have to work with what we have. So let's try to do the phases as just slash phase. So what do I need to do in that case? So file names must start with curly braces. Well, I guess first of all, I could update the Gatsby version, right? Yeah, it's not saying, let's see, routing, routes. It's not saying anything about the version, Gatsby version. Oh, here we go. So source pages products product name equals to products burger. So we can do the same, I think, here. So source pages. So I'm just gonna copy this and place it here. And I'm just gonna call this phase.slug. So I think that we are using slug here. Let me see. So this is content item phase. This is what I'm looking for, right? So I'm just gonna call this content item phase. And this should have, oh, it's actually called URL. So I'm just gonna call this dot elements dot URL dot value. So this is, if I understand this correctly, and I haven't tried it yet, yeah. So if I understand this correctly, this should be a path to the actual slug that is stored on the item. And this should be true for all the phases. But it seems like it, yeah. Let's see. That feels as can which is route like, yeah. Yeah, that's what I want. At build time, Gatsby uses the content within the curly braces to generate GraphQL queries to retrieve the nodes that should be built for a given collection. Collection here refers to all nodes of a given type. That's exactly what I want. So I have a lot of phases coming in from Kentico content, and I want to generate a page for every single one of those. And that's true not only for the root phases, but also for the phases below. They all use just a slug here. So I can just leave everything like it is. And so I guess the template will stay the same way. I'm just gonna comment out the code for generating the pages here. So all content item face, I think this is it. I wonder why do we have this here? If Edge node system ID is not this. Oh, we'll find out soon enough, I guess. I'm gonna leave this one here because we still need the pages there. Yeah, so I'm just gonna leave this here and we'll see. We'll see how that works. So we've got the template here, and I'm probably gonna have to update Gatsby as well. Yeah, so let me do that. So I always forget how to do that. Gatsby content, Gatsby source content, no, Gatsby, here we go. So let me see. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Announcing Gatsby. This new file system route API. Upgrading Gatsby, that's what I want. Now this is what I really like about Gatsby. Whenever you need to find something, you just Google for it. And typically you land on an article on their blog that describes what you need to do. So to leverage the new possibilities, you'll need to update the Gatsby version that is 2.26 or later. So, all right, I'm gonna do that. So 2.26. Okay, this works. So, you know, this is something I learned by just trying these things, is that if you don't need to touch package.json manually, don't do that. So I'm just gonna install the latest Gatsby and we'll see. To create a match path for the app route while having a file at source pages app, you used to use on create page. I don't think I did this. Instead, you'll need to create a folder called app inside source pages and move the existing source pages app file into there. Let me see if I do have this. So we're looking at the create match path. It is ignored when creating pages during the build. Okay. But on the front end, when resolving the page from path, it is used to find the matching page. I don't think I ever did this. Let me see. So let's check Gatsby node. Yeah, I don't have this here. I don't have this here. So you know what? I'm just gonna ignore this was ever here. Yeah. Just gonna leave this here. Now the file system route API abstracts away the explicit usage of create pages in Gatsby node. That's what we are trying to do. In this short example, okay, we don't need that. We can leave what we have here. Removing create pages. You can remove the create pages call from your Gatsby node file. At the end of Gatsby node.js, file should only contain on create node, create node field. Oh, this is Markdown. Okay, so maybe this is something specific to Markdown. Now let's see what this does. So, oh my god, this is still installing stuff. Okay, let's give it a moment. So what I'm wondering is, what if we do the same for page? Oh, here we go. This should be finished. So let's see. Gatsby develop. Now, when we do Gatsby develop and access a page that does not exist, we should get a list of all the pages that do exist. So that's a nice way how to find out what actually was generated. Ooh, unexpected key. Create store, expected to find one of the known. Okay, I don't know what this means. Cannot parse unexpected character. So, collection page builder encountered an error parsing the file path. To use collection paths, the schema to follow is model.field. Oh, okay. 2 underscores. So it's model.field 2 underscores subfield. What if I have here okay, let's see, open, yeah. So what if I have 2 subfields? Dot notation. Using that, you signify that you want to access a field on a node of a type. All products. Oh, okay. All products. So we want all content item face. And we want node. Oh, okay. Nodes name. So this one goes to product dot fields dot SKU. So let's take a look at how this is going to work. So we want content item face, but then we are already in the nodes. So we want element, we want URL, and we want its value. Okay, so here we can go further with just 2 underscores. So this should be the right syntax. Let's try. Okay, this seems to work. This seems to get through. Okay, the graphical query in the non-page component templates face will not export. Okay, that's fine. We're no longer using that file, so this is fine. Let's take a look. So localhost 1000. Okay, this does not exist. Cannot read property system of null. Okay. So what's null? Face navigation, elements, content item. But the good thing is that the page was called. That's cool. Let's see if there are any, obstacles. Moving and renaming. Okay, moving and renaming the page template. The template to create each blog post is located blah, blah, blah. Move the file to source pages and rename it. The file contents can stay the same. The previous create page call iterated over the collection of markdown remark nodes and set the path as post fields slug. This is now translated to, okay, slug in the file name itself. So here we got the context ID, post ID. How do I get the context? So we were getting the page ID there. And here, okay, let's see if we actually do get something here. So if we do get something here, we can output it, right? So if we have a face here, I'm just gonna log it. Console log face. Let's see if that does something. Okay, null. 27. 27, this is null. All right, let's see data. Okay. Here we got 27. We got something here. We got content navigation, content item navigation item, elements, child items. So we got some stuff here. We got the navigation items, but we did not get the phase. Let's see. System ID equals ID. So this is likely not a system ID. Maybe this is just an ID of the page that was generated by Gatsby. So in that case, this would be not a system ID, but only ID. Okay, this is a wild guess, yeah? Let's see if that makes any difference. Okay. Wow, that was easy. That might have been a bug as well, by the way, in the previous implementation. Because we were using here in Gatsby node, we were using Edge node system ID, right? We were using system ID, not the ID of the page, but the ID coming from the headless CMS. You see that here. But in this case, the ID is actually the ID of the Gatsby node, not of the item itself, but of the node that was generated by Gatsby. Which is why this actually made a difference. Wow. Okay, so let's see. I don't see any errors here. We got some logs here. I'm just gonna get rid of those. But this was easy. Okay, we probably don't want the console log here anymore. We probably don't want the console log here. Right, and there was another one, table of contents on line 36. So table of contents on line 36. Yeah, probably not need that. Okay. Wow, this was really easy. This was really easy. Let's check if everything else works as well. So we go to functional requirements, that works. Go back to project phases, go to developing, for example. This works. Going to developing, implementing best practices. That works too. Although I think these should be Gatsby links. Oh, there is a problem here. Can I read property? Okay, can I read property codename of undefined? Resolving linked items. Okay. But everything else seems to work. This works. Okay. This works too. All right. So the only thing that does not work was under developing, or where was it? Here? Developing in a team? No, wasn't here. Okay, where was the problem? I think here it was, right? Yeah, there we go. So on line 16, rich text element. Okay. We're not getting property code name, item system code name. Okay, let's take a look. So the rich text element is getting data. This is definitely here. So this is definitely something in the GraphQL query. So the rich text resolving, that's not scenario. That's not navigation item. This is coming from, yeah, this is coming from the rich text. So that would be not modular content. This would be content item phase. This would be in the content somewhere. Or this could actually be images links. Yeah, this is here. This is here because this is the rich text element, the content, and we are getting links here. We're getting link ID, URL slug, and the modular content, and he's complaining that the item system code name equals code name. Yeah, but we don't know Okay, cannot read property codename of undefined. So item.system has to be undefined. That's weird. Let's see. Okay, so let's find the rich text. It's here actually. So links is face elements content links, and linked items are in modular content. You see, these are the links and these are the linked items. So face element content links and content modular content. So that's why this fails. Yeah, linked items dot find. It's probably not there. Now I want to see why the item.system is null or undefined here. So let's take a look here. So face elements, I want to see what's in there. Let's output face element content. Okay, here we go. So face element content is here. We are looking at links. Links is empty. There are no links here. There are no links. Why is he complaining if there is no link there? And modular content, there are two. Those are the scenarios. But links is empty. So he's complaining about reading property codename of undefined. Okay, let me see where the, yeah, here. Index.js at 16. Now I want a nicer message. Here we go. So linked item, but here there are some linked items. This is strange. Result linked item. Face elements content links. Face element content links. That's an empty array. Okay, so let's go into, but I think I don't have this. Yeah. I'm just importing this, so I can't really debug that. But face elements content links seems to be an empty array here. So why is he complaining? Okay, we can go into dist and rich text element and try to, okay, node modules. Kentico, Gatsby content components, and take a look here. And we can log whatever we need. Let's refresh that and let's see. Okay, here we go. So there are two things. Okay, those are the scenarios. All right. Linked items. Okay, that's correct, because we have the scenarios there in the content, but why is he complaining then that the code name is undefined? Item, where item, okay, let's see. So we got scenarios here. Oh, but we don't have any data of that. which might be the problem. Why don't we have, so here we see that in the modular content we have 2 items, but we only have type name of those, nothing else, right? So let's see, why is it like that? Because modular content only counts with content item phase. If there is not something like, if there is not a phase, if there is something else, then this is gonna fail, because obviously it's not gonna match this condition. So it only it only expands if there is content item phase. But here we're getting actually scenarios. So let's see. I'm just gonna check quickly how this looks in the headless CMS. So let me open it in another window. I'm just gonna log into the right project. Then I'm gonna show it to you. Oh, it needs me to log in. So I'm just gonna check the item. So we are looking at Kentico Advantage. There we go. Okay, so we are looking at planning and picking a project type. So picking a project type, this is it. Now in the content, we've got scenario here, another scenario there. So this is again a bug probably that we have here. I'm just gonna fix it by fixing the GraphQL query here. Yeah, because on content item scenario, we definitely need to get the data too. Let me see if we have, yeah, we have something here. So I'm just gonna copy that. I'm gonna add it here. I'm just gonna, rebuild the whole thing. So this is an edge case, yeah. Something that I forgot that was there, but the good thing is that this was a bug, and it seems like we found it and fixed it. And this is essentially a good thing that this failed, because that's a behavior you would expect, yeah. And it wasn't hard to find that issue. Because you got a different type than you expected. So here you say that you only expect these types in the scope of this modular content. And if this wasn't there, then it's obviously going to fail. Now let's see if this is going to work now. Okay, cannot read property system of undefined. So another issue on line 129. So this is this resolved linked item. So what we can do here is check what kind of data we have available here. So console log linked item. Let's see. So what do we have here? Undefined. We got undefined here, but here you see we already got the system ID. We don't have the system type though, which might be another thing that it's complaining about. Let me see the GraphQL query again. So here we're getting codename and type. I assume we're gonna need the same here. We're not even getting the ID here. That's interesting. But we should be getting that, because here the link ID is based on that. Well, let's see if this works. Okay, now this is much better. We got some nesting issues here, but let's see. Okay, now this outputted the JSON because we don't have the template for scenarios here, which is kind of expected, because we did not provide it. So resolve linked item, we only included the phase HTML markup here. So we need to do the same thing for scenario. Yeah. This is actually the component for scenario. So we could either use it like this. So each data piece actually returns a scenario that receives the scenario object. I think this would be the best case actually. But we're gonna need to import the scenario from scenario. Okay. Oh, we need to go one level up and into components. Cool. Now what we're gonna need to do is change the rich text element here. And here in the result linked item, if this is system type equals scenario, then we're gonna return scenario. And obviously this is the data are not in the scenario variable, but in the linked item. Not sure what we actually get there. Let me see. So under scenarios, we're getting this props data map, scenario index. What are scenarios here? Oh, this props data actually. And this props data is coming from the phase. So phase elements scenarios value. So scenarios value is exactly this. So that's what we need, right? We can then return here linked item, and it should work. Well, we'll see in a second, but hopefully. Oops, some issues here. Nested block is redundant. Oh, okay. I'm missing return here. Oh, else if. Okay, this looks much better. Now, where are my scenarios now? Let me see. So in the headless CMS, right above finding the right component. There. Okay. So this is my scenario, but it's not really styled here anyway. But the functionality works. This is funny. But I think that what we need to do is put here the same thing as was in the component. So, okay, let me just get this back to the way it was. And here I think we're also missing the scenarios container. So this is the container. And it gets this props data. So it gets the data like this. So the only thing we need to do is actually give it, and this is actually gonna need an array. So I'm just gonna put here an array with one item, which will be the linked item. Let's see, this is gonna work. Again, another wild guess. Scenario is never used. Yeah, we're gonna need scenarios. So I assume that's another component. Yeah, we got scenarios and scenario here. So we're gonna need to import scenarios from scenarios. And I guess we're already doing that somewhere. Yeah, here. See, this is redundant. Perfect. Now this seems to work. Let's go back here. Okay, now this looks much better. So we got the mobile app. That works. This works too. Seems like there are still some styling issues. But overall, if we look at planning, and this item here. Oh, there is no scenario here. That's interesting. Planning, picking a model, picking a project type. Okay. Yeah, this is the same. Picking a project type and development model. So you see, I think the bug was here already because the scenarios were not showing. So this is interesting. So you see now the scenarios are actually showing. So we fixed one bug that's even on production version. Interesting. So yeah, this is how this is solved. Now we hopefully have no other issues there. So what I can do now is I can remove the face template. And the project should be working normally without any issues here. Yeah, everything seems to work. Although you see, this is actually making a request to another page. So I guess we're not using the link here, the Gatsby links here. This is under face, and I think we were in the same file in the rich text resolver. Yeah, you see, this is generating a href, not a Gatsby link. So let me fix that. We actually want the same as is on the index page. Yeah, here on the index page, there's a component project phases, but that's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is a link. Yeah, phase icon. Let's go inside. What I'm looking for, where is link container coming from? Okay, this is just the style. Image, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no, not what I want. I just want to see what kind of link we are using here. So probably not here. It's gotta be somewhere though. This is the item. Return item. Okay, here is a URL. So this component definitely gets information about the URL. And here you see link container href. Okay, so this one is using href. Let's see. That's wrong too then. Yeah, this also does a request, you see. But if you go back here and click only on these links, this works well. You see, so the difference between the Gatsby link and an ahref is that the ahref really makes a browser request. But if you use the Gatsby link, it can redirect you to another page only on client. So your browser is not doing any request. You see, it's much faster here. So this is what I want, and this is something that we'll need to fix on that part as well. So here on the menu, there is again an ahref, but there should also be, okay, here we have phases, and you see that there is a link here, and the link contains two attribute. Yeah, so we're gonna use that instead of ahref. And if you look here, the link is coming from Gatsby. Yeah, so let me fix that. I'm gonna fix that first on the rich text element here. In the link items resolver, you're gonna see here there is ahref, so I'm just gonna change it to link to. All right. We can make it also nicer with title as well. So linked item, elements, title value. I assume we have a title there. Yeah. And /link. Now let's see if this is gonna change anything. So we're gathering. I'm just gonna refresh that to be sure. And here you see functional requirements, it goes right away. You see? No additional request. We're just going right in there. Now let's see. I think the next one was the project phases. So I'm just gonna fix it there too. In the face icon. Link container. So this shouldn't be link container. styled A. This does not even have any styles there. So I'm just going to change it to link. And instead of ref, this is going to be 2. Oops, we got some issues here. Link is not defined. Okay. So we're going to import link from Gatsby. Perfect. Now this works well. Let's go back to the home page and see. Okay, this goes right in there. This all works nice, finally. Now these are external links, so that's fine. But within the site, we should be able to navigate without additional requests. So you see now everything seems to be working well. Nice. Oops, we got an error here. 404. Planning, picking a project type and development model. Oh, this goes into /planning. That's wrong, obviously. Yeah, so there is a problem there. In my resolver here. Let's fix that. So this is a link to, and there should be / and then the value. Because this is the final slug, right? This is not a part of the slug. This is the only slug. So let's do that again. Now it goes to the right URL. Now it works. Perfect. So that that fixes pretty much everything here. Everything seems to be working. Now the last thing is I want to get rid of. Oh, there is a 0 here. Shouldn't be a 0. But what I want to do is I want to fix the pages as well. So this is not a phase. Conclusion is not a phase. When we look at the content, you see there is no, oh, there is a conclusion. I stand corrected. This is a phase. Okay. So if this is a phase, then let me see how this works here. So conclusion. Oh, I see. So now it all makes sense. So if we go back into Gatsby node, I would say that this ID is the ID of the conclusion page. Let's see. 8152 conclusion. Let's see, not the code name. I want to see the ID. How do I see? Okay, here we go. You see, here is the ID, 8152. So this is the item that we don't want to be generated, you know. So let's see if we can do that here. Let's see if we can do that here. And I'm just going to jump back into Gatsby documentation. So let's look for exclude. No excluding. What about filter? Component implementation. So naming your file with the file system route API will generate routes for each node and will automatically pass the field name via props params to the React component and as a variable to the GraphQL query. As explained, you can render data from a node on the page by filtering only for the given ID or field name. That's what we are doing actually. That's fine, that works. If you need to customize the query used for collecting the nodes, e.g. filtering out any product of type food, you should use the Create Pages API instead of File System Route API. Doesn't support this at the moment. Okay, so that actually answers my question. So we cannot use the routes API if we want to filter something out. It just doesn't work like that. Gatsby slugifies every route that gets created. Yeah, that'll make sense. Okay, so if we want to exclude that, we have to use the create pages API. There is no way around it, which makes sense. Let me see what we have here. So the conclusion is just a simple page with one reference. And in the end, we actually do want to have that page here. I'm wondering how this was created on the normal page. Maybe this was here. Create page. All content item. Now this is just for pages, so this is something different. So how did we create the conclusion page previously? So if this page was excluded from here, how did we create that page? So there was on the index search. There's a page template. So let me see if there is another conclusion page here somewhere that could maybe be page, not a phase. Okay, now that makes sense. So here we have a conclusion page, right? So this is something that's a bit misleading. So let me just do a quick fix here. I'm just going to unpublish this page. I'm just going to check if this is the same content. Yeah, this is the same. Okay, so I'm just going to unpublish this phase, as it contains the data that are already provided by the other page, right? So I'm just going to unpublish this. Cool. Now, in order to see the changes, I'm going to have to rebuild because Gatsby already fetched all the data from the headless CMS. So I'm going to rebuild the site. But this is interesting. This is a slightly different way of building the structure than Next.js has. Because here you can have multiple items on the same URL. This is something that in Next you could also achieve that. But in Next, I think that you have more control over the URL. Because here, in Next it works in a way that you need to provide the paths. So yeah, it's very similar. It's actually very similar. But Gatsby's way is a bit more, I guess, more straightforward for beginners. Let's see. Oh, not this one, but this one. Okay, still we have this here. Yeah, maybe this was not yet. Oh, now this is not a link anymore. How is this not a link? Interesting. So one other thing that might be the case here, let me see, because the navigation is composed of navigation items here. And there definitely is navigation conclusion. This is a standard URL that goes to conclusion page. This is correct. Let me publish this. This is going to be, oh, come on. Okay, let's go to review. I'm going to be the contributor. And now I want to publish this. Okay, ready to publish. And publish. Yes, please. Okay. Now this is going to take a second to be reflected in the delivery API. Yeah. So what I wanted to say is that in the Next.js, you can call the file, let's say filter.tsx, if you're using TypeScript. Then you need to provide in a function, I think it's get static paths, something like that. You need to provide a list of URLs. Yeah, so in this case, you would do query to get all paths from the headless CMS. This is the Next.js way. Yeah. Gatsby.js way is slightly different because it first gets query all data from the headless CMS, and then you can say that for let's say in our case it was the face dot was the URL, I think it was URL, or elements, you know, URL value, whatever. This way you get to the element that actually holds the URL slug, and you let Gatsby find all the elements and generate pages. Now in Next.js, when you do this, query all paths, then in another method that is called, how is it called? Something static, I don't know, the main class of the file, right? Here you get the path available, and you can get the data. So there is another special method to get the data. Yeah, so you get the path. Path is available. Get all data and render the page. So this is different. Overall, this is probably easier because you have all the data available during the build time. Yeah. So you don't need to do any additional work. You just need to tell Gatsby where is the URL, which variable or which element, which property holds the URL, and Gatsby does everything else for you. It finds all the elements, or it finds all the items, content items, and generates pages for every single one of them. Next.js does it the other way around. So first you tell it, you build a query to get all the data from the headless CMS, and only after that, Next.js calls your template with every single path of the list that you provided and renders the page. So overall, it's the same thing, but with a different approach. So it depends which one you like more. I assume, or I guess that this is easier for beginners, but this gives you more freedom. Cool, so now this should be already there. So let me just rebuild the site again so that we get the fresh content. Okay, building development bundle. There we go. So let's go here. Okay, we got some issues here. On the menu, link class name, current face index. Okay, so we got on the menu. Let me see, so menu. So we have content item navigation item, we got content item here. And on content item, we have value, system ID, and type. Okay, and the problem was on line 192. Yeah, that's this problem, because the current face is not a face. So it seems like it's starting to work. So let's see, menu items, item elements, content item, value length. So if there is any content item, but the problem is, this is not always going to be a phase. Yeah, let's call this and menu item elements content item value type. Is there a type there? System ID and system type. Oh, there is only value. So content. Okay, content item, value, system type, value. So system type equals phase. Now this should get rid of this error here. Nope. Cannot read property type of undefined. So that system is undefined. Menu item elements. Okay, menu item children. So look at the root item children. Okay, let's remove this for a second. Let's see the previous error again. Cannot read property system of undefined. So current phase is undefined. This went through. Let's see what content item.value is then. Oh, this is actually an array. So we probably need to do value.0. Okay, let's try to do it again. Yeah, here we go. So system type is page. Yeah, so if the type is page, we don't want to go through with that. Because obviously if the active, if the current is page and not phase, we cannot do a current phase. And we are checking system ID. Okay, now I got it. So we don't actually need so of the current, we get the system ID of the content item. Phase, menu items, okay. That's system.id. I don't think we need to do all this. Oh, we're getting the URL. Okay, now I get it. So here we are generating current phase system ID. This props active page ID. But we need to do it in a different way. So we're getting the URL, I guess let me see. So the page, if this is a phase, then we're generating the URL based on this value of the phase. Now, if this is going to be a page, we need to be able to generate the URL based on the same field, but from a different model. So what we're gonna need here, we're gonna need a similar thing for pages here. Or what we also can do is just put here another if. Menu item elements content item value 0, system type equals phase, and see what happens. So this is going to work, but the link is obviously not going to work. Okay, let's go back home. Yeah, the link is not going to work. Just like project phases. Now the breadcrumbs are also not going to work, obviously. 215. Cannot read property ID of undefined. Yeah, that's because we now have a page there. And this code just doesn't, count with that. Okay. Wow, this is gonna be just because of one page, guys. What I would actually do is just leave the code as it was, and probably just make this page a fixed one, because it doesn't make sense to have every single thing in the headless CMS. But to make sure that this works, I'm just gonna leave it like it is. And I'm gonna fix this. So breadcrumbs 215. So current item. We're looking for nav item, content item, which should be an array. Value length, this should be 1. And the content ID system.id should be content item ID. And the problem here is that we are getting the content item only in case that this is content item phase. So again, another thing, at least that's what I guess here based on this error. Yeah, find item and items. So let's see, where do we use the find items? Here. So second level current items, yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying, guys. So items should be only items of type phase. Because this is even sublevels. Second level current items. Current items. Child items value. Yes, the second level sub items. Second level child items value. And we're going to filter them. Oh, this should be a different variable. That C. So we're getting the value, which means the C.system.type should be phase. Now this should get rid of this error, hopefully. Okay, no, it didn't. Elements, child items. Okay, but this didn't help, so I'm just gonna remove that. Second level item. So I just want to see what is the problem here. We have ID here, so it's got to be the nav item elements. Let's output it then. Nav item elements content item. Oh, okay. So here we're using, yeah, items. That's fine. So let's log all the items. Cannot read property ID of undefined. Now there is an ID here. Elements, child items 0. Yeah, so this is about the child items. Elements, content item value. Elements, content item value. So let's put here nav items, elements, content item value 0. What did I do now? Here we go. System.type equals face. Now this is definitely a piece of code that should be changed because it's really hard to navigate through, especially if there are better ways how to do that. Cannot read property type of undefined. So system is undefined. Let's make it a bit more readable. So value length is probably 1 because the item is there, but that would be the second level. So this is probably either here. Oh, this is not that. This is here, child items. And we're only getting on content item navigation item and then content item here. So this is the problem. We're not getting the system if it's not a content item phase. And we have content item page in there. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to copy this. On content item page, we're going to get ID and type. We're going to get title and going to get value. I think we have all of these available in the headless CMS, so that should be fine. Oh, let's go back. Yeah, title, URL, both are there. So we should be fine. In this case, we should get the data in there. And we can remove this. Yeah, now this works, although we get 0 breadcrumbs here. Which is obviously wrong. Now we don't get any breadcrumbs anywhere. But if we go to conclusion, we see the page, which is good. Just this link doesn't work, but that's fine. We're gonna fix that later. but the breadcrumbs don't work at all. Why are the breadcrumbs not working now? So let's go back to homepage. Okay, this works. This all works. Okay, so first let's fix. Okay, even the highlighting works, so that's nice. So let's first fix the menu here. So the conclusion should be a link, but it's not. So let's go back to menu. Let's see what's wrong here. I think this is going to be similar. So content item. No, this is actually value system ID type. Okay, navigation item. So navigation items for each. Navigation item. Okay, so here we prepare that. And here we do class name and to. Root item. Menu item. Okay. Now submenu is going to be empty in my case, or in the case of conclusion, but item is going to be menu item, elements, title, value. Now, if that menu item contains a content item, okay, here we go. So this is wrong. This is something that I added here a second ago, but I obviously cannot have that there if I want that to be a link. So if we have a content there, here we're getting the phase. All content item. Okay, now I'm just gonna, okay, this is maybe a wrong GraphQL query to start with. Because we don't want all content item. Let me fix that. So I'm just gonna copy this. Now we don't want all content item, but we want only all content item navigation item. Now from those, we want the title, the URL. Am I right here? Yeah. But I don't think we're using the custom URLs anymore. We're using the URLs of the pages, which is easier. So you know, we could use a lot of refactoring here, to be honest. But let's do it the easiest way, right? So the only thing we want is all content item navigation item, and we want the elements. So nodes, elements, title. So we got all the phases here. And we're starting with root, I think. Yeah. Okay, but that would mean, you know what? I'm just gonna leave it like it is now. Otherwise, this would be another hour of fixing. So to make it the same, I'm just going to create here a new one. That would be page. The all content item, that would equal page. And we're getting ID on content item page. We're also going to get a system ID. We're going to get elements, but not subphases. We don't care about those. We only care about the URL. So we don't need that. We just need the URL. Now we're going to do the same as we did with phases. So I'm just going to put here let page is empty. Then we're going to say data pages nodes for each item. We're gonna store those items under their system ID. The same as we did with phases. And now, when we are here, we cannot say current phase because we don't know what that is. So we're gonna say current doc, like current document would be phases. Now, okay, let's say the current document ID is going to be menu item, elements, content item, value 0.system ID. So this is the system ID of the page that we are looking for, right? And the current document can be either under phases or under pages. So let's say current document equals null. And we're gonna say if phases find, I think we can use array find. Let's see, what's the syntax for array find? Element. Okay, here we go. So find phase that. Okay, I totally forgot what was in there. What was in there? There we go. So current document is phases find phase that phases. We're looking for index, right? So we want to find index, array find index. Yes. No, that's not what I'm looking for. I just want to see if there is a, maybe find key. JavaScript. This one. Array1.keys. Okay, so phases.keys. Find. Isn't there a better way, like contains? I know there was a contains here. Contains JavaScript. Includes. Okay, here we go. So if it includes array keys, includes current document ID, includes current document ID. If so, then it can be phases. Otherwise, it's going to be pages. Menu item, elements, content. What we can actually do is we can use the current document ID rather than, write this all over again. Current document ID. Otherwise, it's going to be pages. Current document ID. All right, now, wherever there was a current phase, we're gonna change that for a current document. Current document. Elements URL value is always gonna be there, so we're good. Okay, this failed. Why did this fail? Pages is not defined. 207. Pages is not defined. How come? Oh, page. This should be pages. Now let's see. So this was rebuilt. Let's see if this is gonna work. No. Cannot read property nodes of undefined. Data pages nodes. Okay, let me fix that. Page. Pages. Just a typo there. Let's see now. Okay, phases keys is not a function. Phases is an object. Okay. So let me see what we have in there. Maybe there's a better fitting function than that. Okay, so this is an, all right, so we need to find the properties of this object. So this is an object. Oh, what did I do? So JavaScript object properties to array. Values returns an array whose elements are the enumerable property values. No, I want property names. Its own enumerable property names. That should be object keys. Right? That should be object keys. Yet it says faces.keys is not a function. Oh, should I do like object.keys and object in there? Okay. Wow, that was easy. But shouldn't there be like the same thing for phases? Oh, okay, so this is only for the, all right, for the condition. That's fine then. Okay, so now this should work. This works well. If we go back to Kentico Advantage, it goes to main page. Okay, we can change the logo as well. That should also be link, not a href. I think this is somewhere. Mobile bar, large bar maybe. No, this is a bar visible. Maybe in layout. Now there's a little title, mobile bar or large bar, so maybe it's in the mobile bar. Nope. So maybe in the menu. Left bar. Oh, there it is. So you see ahref, so we're gonna do link to end of link. Okay, now we go to gathering, then we go back, now it works, nice, okay. If we go to conclusion, this goes to conclusion page, so now if everything works the way it should. Gathering, the indexing works well as well. Perfect. So the last thing that's not working are the breadcrumbs. There is some problem with breadcrumbs still. Let's see. Okay, let me remove the console logs that I've put everywhere. Okay, let's remove that. And let's see why breadcrumbs are not working anymore. Let's see what we have here. Okay, let me fix this and refresh that. Okay, this is coming from the page layout 72. So I'm going to remove the one last console log here. And now this should be clean. Okay, now we're having some kind of issue in breadcrumbs because this is not being hit. See that there's no test here. That's strange. It seems like this is not even called. Breadcrumbs. Page ID is face system ID. Let's put here console log so we see something's happening. Okay, here we go. This is happening. Okay. So there's all content item navigation item. So we're getting the root item. Then we're going down for child items. We're looking for navigation items too. And content item. And here we're looking only for faces. So we're going to fix this. We're going to add here a page 2. Content item page. System ID elements, this can stay the same. And then we are looking for child items of these navigation items. And there, that's fine. We're looking only for face because there should never be a page. But we're looking for one. Oh, okay. Now my mistake. Now let's remove this because this will be this or not. So we're looking for root, and in children we're looking for navigation items, and they're looking for face and pages. That's fine. And there are child items of those child items. So there should not be any page here. So this should not be there. Okay. Okay, now this looks much better. So now we got the breadcrumbs working. So when we're at project phases, we go to conclusion. This works. Introduction, gathering works. So we're under project pages, project phases, and gathering. Then we go down, we go to functional requirements, and everything seems to work. Perfect. So I think that we are pretty much done here, guys. Awesome. Now what we could also do, is get rid of this Gatsby node create page, because we've got only one page in the headless CMS, if I'm not mistaken. When we go back here, you can see that under page, there are actually two, project phases and a conclusion. So yeah, we could either create both of them. So that would be / project phases and then / conclusion. But or are we doing that now, by the way? Project phases. Yeah, we're doing that, but this is an empty page. Yeah, so this is something that we don't want, because project phases is redirected to the main page. So let me see if we can actually change this. I'm gonna create a redirect here from / project phases to path root. Okay, this requires me to restart the development or to restart the build. So if this redirect is going to have a precedence before the generated page, then it's going to work, and we can actually move the create page from here to file-based route. But if it's still going to work, then we're going to fix this so that it only generates the conclusion page. Yeah, it's not going to generate the project phases page. And I'm wondering, is this used anywhere? This is not used anywhere. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see, / project phases. Now this still works. All right, so what we can do is actually, in the headless CMS, I'm actually gonna take the project phases page, because this page is not used anywhere. You see, this content item is not used in any other content item. So I'm just gonna unpublish this and archive and leave only one page here. So that's the conclusion page, right? And that page can then be generated just like the other page. So I can comment this out, and I can easily take that template, move it to pages, yeah, and call that content item page elements URL and value. Okay, now I'm just gonna restart the build to not confuse Gatsby even more. And I assume that we're gonna need one little fix here as well. So the page ID is going to be page system ID, but here in this query, we're gonna need not system ID, but only ID. 1, 2, 3. Now this should be fine. Now let's save that and just run the build again. This was the only change that I had to do for the other template. Yeah, because the ID that's given here is the Gatsby node ID, not the system ID that's coming from the headless CMS. Now, with this change, we should all be finished. Okay, this takes a little while. Perfect, we are done. So let's go back here. The process needs to be restarted. Yes, okay. Let's go to the main page. Perfect. That seems to work. Conclusion page seems to work. So this is good because this is the page that was generated now by the file-based route. And if we go to project phases, There's no page yet. That's fine. So this generates a 404. That's still better than nothing. But it should generate the redirect. Yeah, not sure why this doesn't work. It definitely should, but the good thing is that now you see we can get rid of this completely. And the only thing that needs to stay here is, okay, we can remove, we can only do a create redirect here, and we can completely remove this promise. I guess we don't need path anymore. And let's restart it to really make sure everything works. And if it does work, then we are finished. Okay, final build of the development bundle. Then it's just about creating pull request, you know, that's the easy part. Here we go. So let's try to rebuild. Okay, this seems to work. Gathering works. Everything works well. Conclusion works. Breadcrumbs work. Nice. And let's see project phases. Yeah, this still gives me 404. I don't know why, but that's for another stream, guys. But yeah, the file-based routing is quite easy. You know, going from the templates to the file-based routes is surprisingly easy. If you're using the IDs for the templates, so my templates were actually using the ID coming from the headless CMS, but if you're using the ID from the Gatsby nodes, it's gonna be completely easy. You just need to copy the page and change the name of the page according to the Gatsby syntax. But yeah, it was surprisingly easy. I was honestly expecting more of a hassle when doing this. So great job, Gatsby team. This is much better than you know, having everything in the Gatsby node. So this definitely is going to help a lot of developers have their projects you know, built in a much more straightforward way, I would say. So